Good morning and welcome.
General manager for Eats Key and Landmark. Just wanted to take a minute to talk about Larry Feldman, Career Changers USA. Larry and I have been working together for about the last 12 years now, and anything I've ever needed as far as recruiting, training, Larry's been right there. Larry's got me salespeople, he's got me managers, he's got me technicians even through the toughest times in the industry, and he is just the kind of guy who's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. But Larry also has the expertise to back it up. When he was in the dealership world, he was a top performer, and that's really important to my staff, especially as it pertains to training. A lot of people can come in and teach out the textbook, but Larry has a real world experience dealing with customers, dealing with situations in dealerships that we go through on a daily basis and try to train on. But Larry's been through it, so he can really empathize with the people and tell you what's worked for him and maybe what way not to go. Larry is just always at a 10. I mean, his energy level is always up there. And I think people, they just love that and they feed off of it. He's not faking it. He is genuinely excited to come in and help you. He's excited to come in and help grow your business. And he's one of those people who just really enjoys seeing people succeed and have a lot of fun at the same time.
Life is about connection, having a support system to lean on, and roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
So what would your dealership feel like if your entire sales staff was literally on fire, your sales and service staff? They were nonstop all over social media, completely dominating your marketplace. They could do it in 30 days or less and then continue their education to do it for an entire 6 months or a year. You literally would completely take over the entire marketplace and no one would be able to compete with you. And that's what we can do for you. So when you're walking around your community, whether you're at local restaurants or you're going to the gym, you don't want to be bothered? Fine, you won't be bothered. But a lot of people will walk up to you and say, oh my God, I love your social media. Your staff is amazing. We love what you're doing in the community. We want to come buy a car from you. We want to get an oil change at your dealership. Your community is absolutely going to love you. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could be on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. You will literally be all over the place. And not only will you have ads running, but your own staff is going to be promoting your brand and promoting themselves within the dealership and within the business. So it's like running an ad times 100-fold because your entire staff is participating in the process. I've traveled all over North America. I've trained Toyota, I've trained Nissan, I've been to driving sales, I've been to Women in Auto, I get hired as a speaker for conferences at universities all over the country, and I can help change the trajectory of your dealership right now.
There we go. Good morning. So there was a couple books I wanted to share. I was actually going through some with Troy before the show. And these were books really on, I think, stress, because if you're in sales of any type, it's really about, you know, dealing with that to a certain degree. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, an old guard person. Stress Resets from Jennifer Latisse, and Stop Overthinking from Nick Trenton. Disclaimer: nothing that I say or anyone else says is our fault. It's obviously we're not responsible. It's on the website if you want to read it. The month-end advisory panel show is a show this week as we end another month in the car business and as we come close to our 400th episode and go into season 5 soon. I'm going to be at AutoCon. I'll be there with Larry and my wife. We'll be doing back-to-back interviews, more than likely. So if you're going to be at AutoCon live, feel free to reach out. Happy to do an interview. And if you aren't already aware, we are selling hats at $29.95. That includes shipping. We're not making much money on them. If there are 4 colors available, if you want one, just reach out. And here we go. So let me just see how I'm going to do this. I guess I do it this way. Yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna share screen. Present. I think I can just add it. Yeah, I'll just do that. There we go. Over here. All right. So good morning and welcome. So why don't we start with an introduction? The first person on was Mr. Troy Glenn. So we're going to go ahead and start with Troy. I know we had some technical glitches today. So Troy, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm the Director of Sales for Western Canada for CDK Global. I've been on the show a bunch of times, and it never fails that, the biggest guy in the biggest tech company has the biggest tech issues. So thanks for being patient with me.
No worries. Yeah, we did. We're moving to StreamYard, and that sometimes causes different issues than the issues we've had in the past. So StreamYard is the platform I've used for quite a while to obviously stream the show, but for security reasons, we're moving to StreamYard moving forward. That doesn't mean we can't do Zoom. It just means that the Zoom link will not be publicized. So let's start with Peter next. So Peter, tell us more about what you do and say hello.
Well, my name is Peter Smith. I represent the Lion Partnership. We're a collective of automotive experts that help dealers see basically what is actually happening with their dealerships and how to change it for the positive and profitability issues that can be underlying that we can help with.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Mr. Doug Reeves from A to Z or A to Z Sync if you're Canadian. Go ahead.
Yeah, Doug Reeves, Senior Business Development Manager at A to Z Sync. We have a singular goal of changing a customer's perception of buying a car at a dealership, and we do that by minimizing the reliance on technology, putting an entire deal in a single tech platform, and just really focusing on the dealership experience, making it easier for both customers and employees to enact a sales transaction.
Fantastic. Well, there's lots swirling around in the car business, as there always is, especially on month end. But these days, there's obviously a combination of electric car changes, challenges, opportunities. Some politicians stepping into the electric car game, at least in our country, and I think also in the U.S. Lots of investment in electric cars, but also dealers who are constantly looking for staff, but more importantly, where to find the right staff. Maybe not with car industry experience. And I know that's important with A to Z Sync because you're asking people to do more than maybe historically, walking around outside trying to find a tire kicker, to quote the video earlier on. When dealers ask you, Doug, about, you got all this great technology, you're making the process simpler, you're streamlining it, you're reducing the staff count. How do they find that staff member who can be a jack of all trades or a Jill of all trades? Where do they find that?
That's a good question. Generally what we recommend first, and obviously, we love the one person model, but we're not married to the one person model. We're process agnostic. But that being said, I think it's important, assuming that a dealership has an onboarding process and a sales process have been established, go outside the industry and get people from other arenas that are process oriented, whether it be, the hospitality industry, law enforcement. Heck, we used to advise dealers to walk into a mall, go into stores, and find the sales representative that actually comes up and asks to help you, because that person is obviously motivated and has a little different, makeup of their DNA. But definitely, our recommendation is go outside of the industry and get some fresh faces, because the industry is changing. And if you're a dealership that's progressive and you're about providing a career and career pathing, it should be attractive to them.
Fantastic. Troy, I mean, I know you maybe train a little bit on technology, but obviously some car dealer staff currently is not as CRM centric as they could be. What do you recommend when dealers ask you those kind of questions about staffing?
Well, the technology, I think, anyone in the, born since 1985 is fairly up on the ability to learn technology for the most part. Of course, there's always exceptions, but I personally come from the hotel industry. So just as was just said, I spent 22 years in hospitality, and you know, I worked as in the hotel business in a number of different brands, number of different positions. Then I was for a brief time at Cintas, which sold uniforms to hotels. Now, what I found really interesting and what got me started on this whole hospitality piece was we had business cards at Cintas that on the front had our information, but on the back it said, "You did a great job for us today. If you're interested in a career change, we think you have what it takes. Call me at this number." And we had those business cards that if we were out and had a great experience in a hotel, in a restaurant, buying something like a car, and we thought these people would be ideal for our circumstance, we were recruiting every time we would drop a business card. So I agree wholeheartedly. Hospitality industry folks are trained on customer service times 10x from what other people get, and the ability to turn around a situation where there's no physical product to buy is a massive skill that's hard to learn. So I agree, hospitality is where it's at.
What do you think, Peter?
Well, I've been always a big proponent of getting people into the industry from outside sources because they haven't learned the bad habits. Now, that is the biggest challenge in this industry is retraining, not training. And as such, I work for a company group that mandated to its managers that they had to recruit at least one individual outside the industry per month to the dealership, whether it was in service or sales or whatever positioning that they offered, but they had to go out and search for one individual per month, and that was one of their jobs at growth. And I really think if we can truly offer what this business should be, we will not have a challenge with staffing outside the industry. And that's a simplicity model. Where can you make six figures in a job that doesn't require any education? It requires compassion and empathy. That's what it requires.
Fantastic. I mean,
Well, it's interesting.
Go ahead.
It's interesting to me that the industry as a whole, and I've brought this up multiple times, doesn't promote this industry as what kind of opportunity does exist within the industry. You hear it from every dealership in every department that hiring is a challenge, yet there's nothing done from the higher ups to say, have you considered the automotive industry? It's not what you think it is. And it just confounds me, because that single initiative could help turn this industry quicker than perhaps anything.
Well, 100% agree. I remember when I first got in the car business, and my brother's like, "Why did you choose that business?" And I think there's a famous quote from a trainer. It's like, "Oh, I got into the car business, and then I was like working for the FBI. I was like, nobody knew what I did."
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who was a small business owner, and then COVID happened, and it debilitated his business when Amazon sort of took over.
Yeah.
But he got offered a job from a good friend of his to go sell cars.
Yeah.
And he went in for the job interview, and the job interview was basically as long as you've got some sales skills, and he did, and you could breathe, and you had a decent pair of pants, you were good to go.
Yeah.
But the first thing he was told was, you're not going to make any money unless you work 10, 12 hours a day and 6 days a week. Now, mind you, this is a Chrysler OEM, so every OEM is different. But I think we have to be cautious that we're going to drag these people in that are working comfortable shifts, and we're going to ask them to turn their life upside down. So while yes, we need to set the realization that you can make a ton of money, it comes with a new mindset of working and what work hours look like if you're in the dealership.
Well, but that's assuming that all dealerships are going to prescribe to that. And I think, Peter, you probably know as well as anybody, more and more dealerships are getting a lot more progressive in how they're thinking about staffing and hours. I mean, we have stores that are closed every Sunday and Monday because they said we don't need to be open 6 days a week. We can do it in 5. I think that there's a lot more and more dealerships are looking at abandoning that traditional scheduling. Wouldn't you agree, Peter?
Yeah, well, you take the LaFontaine Group out of Michigan. They're a 4-day work week dealership. They're open. I believe they're open 6, but they have a scheduling platform that is 4 days a week, and their staffing is massive, but they overlap it so that it works. But because there's a number of concerns for people, they're not getting to take advantage of benefits that they're given because they can't get to the chiropractor or the massage therapist or things like that to get the rejuvenation of their bodies when they're working hard in the back shop. People can't use dental, they can't use any of these benefits, so they look at it and say the benefits mean nothing to me because I can't use them. And so dealerships are looking at different avenues with the 4-day work week. I know of one dealership that does 3 12-hour shifts, and I know other dealerships that offer flexible time for different people because they have different schedules with children. So it's bringing benefits to this industry that was never looked upon in the past to draw those amazing people in that are out there, and we need to do it. Otherwise, we're going to be caught. Now, I had a clubhouse room on Thursday nights, women in automotive, and how do we recruit more women? After that room, I had a lady reach out to me that said, "This is the reason why the world is upside down and this and that, and we shouldn't be recruiting people into the industry. We shouldn't allow people into the industry until they're 25, until their brains actually form." And I couldn't actually believe this. She was dead serious, and the funny thing is, she was a partner and a director of an automotive company,
Wow.
and she had climbed that ladder, and she said, "I wouldn't wish this on anybody." And I'm going, "Isn't this contradictory that you've done it and you've shown it can be done even with the adversity, but you don't want anybody in it?" It just doesn't make any sense to me, because I look at the business as being one of the greatest businesses in the world. So
Thanks for that, Peter. We have Russell just joined, so maybe Russell has a thought. Good morning.
Boy, it was difficult getting in here this morning.
Yeah, well, we're trying something new because we want to secure it, but like anything new, it can be challenging.
Okay,
So
so
we're talking a little bit about, Peter was finishing up on the fact that finding staff outside of the business was a challenge, but maybe you can go ahead, Peter. Sorry, I just want to acknowledge Russell. Go ahead.
no, it's just it. I'm glad Russell could come on board, because, like myself, Russell's been in this business for multiple decades and seen the challenges and seen that new ways of drawing people to this business is what's necessary to get those that are absolute superstars. You can, for case in point, Kaylee Fellio. We all know who Kaylee is. She was a Subway manager. She managed a Subway restaurant, and the owners of her company spotted her there and brought her to the industry. Within 10 years, she's been a multiple speaker across multiple events, including NADA, and won a Golden Wrench from Russell.
Oh,
So,
wow.
there's a case in point where one, female into the industry, two, excelled at the industry, three, was never in the industry, and now she's a superstar.
100%. Russell, maybe you can share a little bit about what you are and what you do, because you were a little late, but also we were talking a little bit about recruiting people outside of the industry. We're going to get into the electric car debacle a little bit, but go ahead.
So yeah, I'm Russell Hill. I've been in the industry 39 years. Grew up on the variable side, running stores for 16 years, and then got in the vendor space. Been in the vendor space ever since. It's my third company, which is Fixed Stops Marketing. It's a technology and software company that works exclusively with dealerships all over the country and Canada as well, where we actually do some quite niche, unique stuff that you won't even be able to reference Fixed Ops Marketing. So we create video content and engage. Here's essentially what it is. We take dealerships out of the 20th century, bring them into the 21st century on their website, because all four of the profit centers the dealer has are on their website: new and used, and parts and service. Well, if you look at parts, service, coupons, specials, or offers, it's dismal, it's dim, nothing that even rivals what's going on the variable side. So what we do is level the playing field, actually even exceeds what they're doing on the variable side, with video content and engagement tools, engaging the customer with the right content at the right message at the right time. And it is an engagement or a lead generation magnet compared to anything that anybody's ever seen on a website. That's the short version.
And are you doing any work with Honda dealers? Because I know they're looking for revenue, especially in fixed ops these days.
Do all of them, all of them. It's unfortunate though when you say fixed ops marketing, people, there's no real reference point to what we're doing, because all they think about is what's on their website now. Here's the three scenarios: no coupons at this time, check back later in construction. A handful of static images that are expired, look good maybe, but you can't, there's no calls to action. The third one, which is the most common one, is that, 5 or 6 offers, coupons, or specials have pricing information with really no calls to action other than maybe printing or linking to a service scheduling tool. Well, that's
Horrible.
freaking horrible, man. And so we have, literally over 1,200 video coupons that pertain to each and every service that a dealership provides. And the results are staggering, really. The ROI, because we have DMS access, are just staggering. But there's really no reference point until somebody gets in front of me, like Peter, who has seen it and sees exactly what we're doing. You go, oh my God. Nobody even knew this kind of technology existed. And it's unfortunate that 80 to 85% of the general managers grew up on the variable side. They don't get the fixed side, and the fixed people are not marketing people. They don't get it. But we directly affect repeat, referral, and retention in a way that is staggering. The engagement is staggering. If I told you what it was, you'd go, yeah, Russell, you're full of shit. No. It's staggering. And we do business with everybody. Every I don't care if it's Lexus, BMW, Mercedes. We do them all.
Well, yeah. When I worked for a website company years ago, the thing that really shocked me was no service specials.
Yep.
And no unique sales specials that were not the OEM specials.
Yeah. On top of all that, we're transitioning. It's a want turning into an actual need, particularly when you're talking about absorption and vehicle sales slowing down and all the other challenges they have. And we get it. I get it. You all get it. Everybody's wearing multiple hats. They don't have time. Let's face it. All of us, either directly or indirectly with our dealerships that we know and do business with, They nobody has time. There's a lot of great vendors out there that do a lot of great things, but 3 to 6 months later they're canceling because it required somebody at the dealership to do something on a daily or weekly basis to achieve whatever the desired results were that they signed up for to begin with. Well, this is not that because there is no usernames, there's no passwords, and all of our stuff goes to Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Google business profiles, and built-in SEO, which is also equally staggering. But that's the short version.
Fantastic.
On the people side, it's Peter sees it too. All these rooms that we're in, I hear the same shit today that I did back in 1985. The definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. Now, there is a paradigm shift. People are paying attention. They're becoming aware, but it's really only the top 5% of the dealerships out there. The rest of them are going about their merry way, doing the same thing, and not getting any different results because they don't understand. The problem is them.
Yeah.
The problem is them. Speed of the pack is set by the leader. They bring all these people in to try all these things out and to no avail, accountability, leadership, you name it, and they come and go in droves.
Yeah, I mean, when you
Let
look
me
at,
just
when you
jump
look
on
at
that.
recruiting, specifically with dealer groups that recruit, say, at high schools and career fairs, there's a little bit of that going on. But more importantly, why aren't they going to a career day, say, at a high school and saying, hey, your son or daughter is thinking about going to college. Why don't they think about becoming a technician? Here's what's in it for them. The people that maybe don't need college. Anyway, go ahead, Peter.
So just on that alone, there has been a 4x interest in going into technical trade schools over 4-year colleges right now in the United States. So that's amazing there. But just looking at the issues, and as Russell pointed out, and I get in trouble a lot on all these calls because I point out that it is coming from the top, and the challenge is, and Doug said this best the other day when he described the football team, and he said we were running a football team in up until 2019 when they were 11-5, and we were happy with that. They got in the playoffs every single year, and then COVID happened, and they all of a sudden jumped to 16-1, and now COVID's over, and they've dropped down to 12-5, and we're firing everybody because we don't understand why we lost those games. And meanwhile, we're still above what we were in 2019, but it's not good enough. So all these people that were actually amazing people have lost their jobs because the stakeholders say, "Hey, you're costing us profitability." Well, it's not the stakeholder. It wasn't the people at the bottom. It's people at the top not recognizing how to move forward and really progress. Like there's technology out there that we didn't have in 2019, right, Doug?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He wasn't around in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
There's
So,
challenges we didn't have. I mean, when you look at it, and I'm sure
but
everyone can speak to this, if you've got suddenly a massive amount of inventory, you've got people that are challenged with making payments because of interest rates. The answer is really like, how can you take the team you have now and train them to deal with that? But more importantly, use the software, whether it's A to Z Sync, whether it's Russell's software, whether it's obviously Troy's software. And as we get into the AIO show next month, there obviously is going to be some discussion around AI. And I actually watched, I think it was a YouTube episode, somebody talking about AI on the weekend. But what do you think, Troy, having talked to a lot of dealers across the country and also in the US, obviously, what do you, are dealers at technology overload? Like, what's their feedback on all this stuff?
Well, I think dealers have been on technology overload for a long time. Probably when I started going to NADA, let's call it, 6 years ago, there's a lot of talk about how, it was the tipping point where there were more technology vendors than car wash vendors and fluids and tires and all that stuff. Now it's, I would say, statistically 95% technology. And, that's just, it's only growing and growing. And, when we see dealers today, when we go in there and we have, integrating into our DMS and getting DMS access, 25 different vendors that just access DMS vendor data, let alone all the other technology that's in there, including, HR business practices and keepers and things like that. So they've been on an overload for a minute. And the problem is people like us, vendors, go in and say, we can solve problems for you. And a lot of times, and I've said this on the show 100 times, is it's not a technology issue, it's a people issue. People, process, and tools is a three-legged stool. And you can have all the tools you want, you can spend all the money you want, but if you're firing the people because you can't manage expectations and processes and getting rid of good people that aren't there, your three-legged stool is going to fall. I don't care what your tech budget is. So if you do the people stuff right, the technology stuff augments the people. And I think it was Peter off the top was talking about process-driven industries. If you don't have a good process in place, it doesn't matter what the tech is. So yeah, any dealer that's looking for tech to solve problems needs to fix their people problem first.
Yeah, I believe that technology to accelerate momentum is wonderful, but to create momentum when you don't have a process in place is a disaster waiting to happen.
What do you think?
It would be interesting if the industry as a whole embraced the idea of hiring people from totally outside of the industry into higher leadership positions. Hire the big cheese from a hospitality company, bring them into your 50, 60 group store and say, what's wrong with our group, and fix it. And let someone with an objective view that has a hospitality bent come in and say, here's what I see. Because I think that would be eye-opening. I mean, Peter, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree 100%. Bring in a regional manager of a hotel chain. It would be absolutely amazing for visibility for a dealership group, because Brian Mozart has said it many times. We're in the hospitality business selling a commodity, and that's exactly what we're doing. And we're trying to retain loyalty to our business to create long-term customer value. And it used to be measured years ago as a loyalty basis, and that's what dealerships measured themselves up against. Now they went into a strict transactional basis, and they're just wallowing in mediocrity right now because they switch from relational sales to transactional, and they're killing themselves. And the race to the bottom is starting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was in my local Jeep dealer because I happen to live in Alberta, and you get little rock chips here, and sometimes become big rock chips in windshields. And I went in because I wasn't sure if it could be filled. And he goes, "Oh, did you buy this thing for our business office? Did you buy that from our business office?" And I went, "No, but you probably could sell it to me if you knew how to do that."
Mm.
But they didn't. They didn't even think about that. They were like, "Well, let's look at it." It was kind of interesting, but yeah, I mean, be of help. I 100% agree. What do you think, Russ?
Well, that's.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Troy.
Well, sorry, let me jump in. So one of the things about selling technology is selling technology that doesn't solve an actual problem is a problem. We're trying to position ourselves and trying to be in the community as a purveyor of solutions. But that having been said, you can have all the hospitality people in the world you want, and I'm just piling onto what Peter said, is all the hospitality people you want to do a great job, or have a director of customer experience that's got hospitality experience. But the second you walk into the sales manager's job and there's a bunch of boxes on the wall that have little X's beside how many units you moved this month, it doesn't matter how nice you are or how much your customers love you when the only thing you're measured on is how many boxes you got that month. So, it's very difficult to put people into a meat grinder and expect people to be great hospitality people when they're not measured on that scale.
Well, again, I've been a big proponent of trying to change this ship around, turning it around. But unfortunately, turning a battleship around in a bathtub is a very, very impossible thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the second part of it is because this industry moves at the speed of a glacier, it is it that becomes another concern. But again, we have to look refocus our what we're looking for because we don't see this industry from the customer's point of view. We see it from the OEM's point of view and the dealer's point of view, and unfortunately, they don't see it that way. The customers are the actual people in control, and we're going to lose them. And people say we can't do digital retailing. Well, Tesla proved otherwise. They sold 4.5 million cars at 100% digital retail. Carvana is one of the greatest performing stocks right now, and they do all their business by digital retailing. So there are challenges that we have to accept in our business model to move forward, and enact these changes, and dealers can do it. It's proven fact when 2020 came around and we shut down the dealerships because of COVID. Oh, digital retailing happened. So I agree with Doug on the very first thing what we have to do with digital and tech is do a tech audit. No one does tech audits.
Right.
You mean they have stuff on their website that doesn't do anything, or in their store that maybe is sitting on a shelf?
Right. Right.
This
Say
never
it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
happened. Well, it was
Oh.
funny. I was doing some implementation for a dealer group out of the Toronto area, and they had pop-ups on multiple pages on their website that they weren't even aware were there. They're not converting. They're interacting with every other pop-up and causing a mess. And the dealer wasn't even sure what the company was.
Mhm.
Well, here's a prime example. I was dealing with a dealer group in the United States, very prominent dealer group, about 20 stores. And on their website, they said the chairman was every in one of the dealerships every day conducting business and overseeing the team. This was I saw it it was just after NADA because that's when I started interacting with them. Problem was the chairman passed away 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And not only that, they had a memorial page on every single website for every single store that the chairman had passed away. And when I connected with the current chairman, his son, he says, "Oh, no one reads that." I said, "I did."
Yeah, well, the scary thing about websites is the conversion metrics. When you look at websites in the automotive industry, that may not be true in other industries, I don't know. The mean average conversion, and I worked for a website company for 3 years, Peter, so I know I've looked at probably 100,000 websites, if not more. Is somewhere between 3 and 5%. That's the overall conversion metric. So if you're a dealer and you're spending, call it $50,000 a month on advertising or more, why are you not paying attention to, especially on these devices, but how people interact with your website? And to Russell's point, it's about offers. I mean, what was shocking to me was we used to create offers for our website dealer clients every month, and they didn't even know how to do that. Like no one had ever even asked them. Like, what do you mean I need a parts and a service offer? Well, when you go to the grocery store, a coupon, yeah. Does that drive engagement and sell stuff? Absolutely. Why aren't you doing that every single month, at least? Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sure Russell had some opinions there.
No, I'm just you get me all riled up now.
Here comes trouble. Go ahead, Larry. You just got on. What do you say?
Hey, gentlemen, how are you? How's everybody doing? I'm sorry, I'm interviewing a bunch of folks, and time got a little bit away from me. What is our topic, or what have I missed so far? And Russell,
We started talking about how do you find great people outside of the auto industry. Maybe you had a thought on that, but we were also talking about a little bit about website and customer experience. But go ahead.
how do you find people? You
Outside of the car business, like they're not in cars.
well, do you mean how do you pull people from outside of the business into our business?
Correct.
Well, listen, I've already done it today. I've got a server, and I've got a real estate agent. You make the ads punchy, you make them short, you make it clear. I'm not saying us, but in general, we tend to be too wordy. We tend to miss the mark. You want to say less with more. The simpler the message is, the clearer the message, the better shot you have of enticing people. You can't be that complicated, because I'm out of my mind, and I just got 50 people hired in Tampa, and I'm going to get a bunch hired, and it's like the end of the world's armpit is where I am right now. It's a building that is a warehouse. I won't say the name of it, but it's astonishing that they haven't closed this place down, because it looks like it's 150 years old. You're waiting for like the horses in the barn. But what if you put your message clearly and cleanly, I don't think it's complicated. Shit, I don't think Russell will agree with me. I don't think anything's complicated. We make it complicated. Okay.
100% agree.
Right on.
So we're talking about technology, and I think Peter was talking a little bit about technology and websites, and the fact that dealers don't know what's on their own website. But you're training people from outside of the car business, and you're bringing it into the business. You find the technology piece. I know you're a technological genius. Do you find the technology piece?
And listen, as far as the technology, I'm going to put a public message out there. I'm tired of Elon Musk calling me at 2:00 in the morning, asking me how to shut his computer off. It's the on button, Elon. How many damn times do I have to say it?
Thanks, Larry. Go ahead. I think Doug hasn't any thoughts in a bit. Go ahead, Doug.
Well, regarding that technology piece, I think that today's hire is expecting that there's going to be technology there to help power their career. And I think what's happened with dealerships is they've gotten so used to what they have, their minds are closed to trying to think that there's something else that might make it look better. It's like, I'd rather dance with the devil I know. And that's short-sighted. But I do think that the opportunity exists for, as Brian Benstock told us once, look, technology should make a person's job easier, not take their place. And the opportunity there is there to bring in technology that will be attractive to the prospective new hires, and that will actually help facilitate their success and not be a hindrance. And like Peter says, we're a big fan of doing a tech audit, because what you're going to find is dealerships have technologies where the managers and the employees are rekeying data over and over. The integrations are horrible. The data they get is horrible. It's just all not happening. And they need to take an audit, and they can probably cut their expense, cut their technology, and get something that's more efficient. It'll be more attractive to any new hire.
So I'm going to jump
Doug,
on that.
Are you comfortable? Wait, hold on, Peter. I just got to ask Doug a question, because I love him. Doug, I kind of got cut out for a second and jumped back in, and I heard you say that every single thing is horrible. Are you trying to get a job as Joe Biden's campaign manager? Sorry, Doug. I had to be a little smart.
So that goes down to the disclaimer, but we'll pass that for now. When we're talking about tech, and we all have a great friend out there, April Simmons, and she said her number one thing is, do not show me another dashboard that I have to have open on my screen, because I'm killing myself with all these dashboards. We have tab anxiety now. The amount of tabs that are out there. This is one of the reasons why we need a tech audit. This is why we need technology compression, not expansion. We need to bring it right down to a single unit in the screen. This is where we're going to get relational sales, because the technology is going to be an assistant, not a hindrance, and that's one of my biggest mandates is bring it down to a single opportunity.
Well, and
And
I
then,
also think, but Peter, I also think that along those lines, we bring somebody new from another industry. And the other industries are probably got their technology down pretty well. And they come into our industry and they're like, what the hell? Have I stepped back into the dark ages here? Why am I jumping all over the place? This is asinine. Is there any wonder why after 30, 60, 90 days they say, I'm out? Okay. What not only was there no process, but their technology stack is ridiculous. This I could do something else better than this. I mean, it doesn't help our cause when we're doing that.
Doug, you're
if you
100% right. If you make it too complicated for people, they either shut you down or find something that's less complicated. Couldn't agree with you more.
yeah, it think of your cell phone for a second. Can you operate your cell phone with a thumb? Absolutely. You can switch from tech to tech with one digit. We need it that simple in the automotive industry. We have to be able to be second nature for our tech. Otherwise, it's never going to be used and no one's going to get involved in it. And it's just going to be shelved like every other shiny lure that dealers buy into and have signed up for a 24-month contract that they can't get out of, and they just add it to their software base. That line item, it drives me more insane than the line item for lead generation.
So, Ian, I think we've solved your problem. So it's hire from the outside of the industry, go to places that are process oriented, make sure your ad is simplified, make sure your technology is simplified as well. And when they come into the store, make sure you have a well-defined process that you can onboard people onto. There you have it. The hiring problem is solved.
Yeah, and then make it all integrated. I mean, that
Yep.
to me is the big piece. And this was something I saw when Brian Pash used to do these awards every year at NADA. I went to several, and he's been saying this for years. I don't think he does these awards anymore, but basically he said, "Hey, you guys all got to play well with others, and that's the reality, right?" And if you're not playing well with others, and I'm sure Troy can speak to this, if you don't have integration, then it's a mess. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
don't want that.
It's the number one challenge we face, and there's a common misconception that because the DMS is the big hub, that it's all our fault, that we're not the ones allowing people to integrate. The reality is we'll let anybody integrate. The problem is integration has a labor cost on both sides when you're doing custom programming. So the problem with that is when you have a small startup that's starting in someone's garage that has a great product. Let's say VidCalls, for example. You guys are much more established than a garage startup.
Yeah.
Trying not to break your balls here. But if I had to say you can integrate to us all day long, we're going to invest some money building an integration. You invest some money, but your side's going to be $5,000. That's hard to do. And for some startups, and then you do that times all the DMS companies in Canada, so there's 6 of them, and then 20 some up in the States. So the integration piece is a tough bugbear, and a lot of it comes down to cost. The other part is, alliances and OEM mandates. It's like, well, if a DMS pays for an integration bill, that we're not going to make you pay for it, Ian.
Yeah.
But you can't integrate to anybody else because we want that exclusive. So there you break it down. Or an OEM says, we'll only allow you to integrate to these 3, but the other ones you won't get any data.
Yeah.
It's never as simple as it looks, but you're right, though. If we can solve the integration problem, and we've tried a few things on our side, but if you can solve the integration problem, you've got it built. But the problem is there's always going to be human beings with agendas in there that want to have it their way, and it's never as easy as it looks.
Yeah, I mean, when I started with VidCalls, I called every DMS provider in the industry on both sides of the border, and most of them were happy to do it. I mean, there was one, won't name the name, it wasn't Troy's company, that was like, yeah, we can do anything. We're just not going to comment on how much it's going to cost.
Oh, would that be a provider out of Ohio?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not commenting on who they were, but they said, yeah, bring briefcases of money and then we'll talk.
I know exactly who it is.
Anyway, we're almost out of time. So is there final thoughts from anybody? Go ahead. Whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Doug.
I think I just provided a pretty astute summary of everything. So I think I've handled it for the whole room.
Fantastic.
Well, pretty much spot on there, Doug, and as always. And I just appreciate being on the room with the astute experts that you get every week, and I thank you for it.
Problem. Russell, thoughts? You're muted.
Muted, Russ.
I said onward and upward. Let's go and grow.
Fantastic. Troy?
This is probably the best, most awesome, happy roundup we've ever had for this. I agree. I'm gonna let everyone else write all my stuff from now on. No, it's been said. But I'll echo what the other guys have said, and we're really grateful for this opportunity. Yeah, you guys are doing a hell of a job, and speedy recovery to Jeff, of course. But having a chance to sit and talk and get different points of view, I think the real takeaway here is we're all a lot more aligned than we think, and that we give ourselves credit for. And I think it's not going to be a massive, the whole turning around a cruise ship in a bathtub is exactly the right analogy in this industry for sure. But I have a feeling it's just 1 or 2 degrees of course correction, and we're a lot closer than we think we are. But once again, great call today. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Larry, final thoughts?
Yeah. First of all, it's a pleasure, obviously, to always hear you gentlemen. It's always learn something and have some fun. And I don't want to start any trouble, but I just saw a picture of Jeff Polo on a beach with 3 women in the Caribbean. Is anybody else doubtful about this knee injury stuff?
Yeah, I'm not commenting on that, but I hear he's posting on LinkedIn again, so he must be off the medication. Anyway,
well, the challenge I have with that is you don't need your knee to talk.
Oh, damn. Anyway, have yourself a great week. Thanks very much. We're out. Here we go.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen.